I'm talking to my diary. Talking to my diary. I'm talking to my diary. I'm talking to my diary. So Monday, my wife went to get my daughter from school. My daughter's school's a little more than an hour away from home, depending on traffic. It can be a little less than an hour, and it could also be substantially more than an hour, depending on traffic. So most days I drive her to school in the morning, and then I go back and pick her up in the afternoon. So that's about 4 hours of driving for me on those types of days. Some days a little less, depending on what's going on. Some days a little more. Monday, my wife said, why don't you just come home after you take her to school and I'll pick her up. She wanted to give me a little rest. All this driving has been taking its toll on me lately. So I came home. I had some work to do in the morning, and then I had a meeting at about 12:30. Monday's supposed to be my day off, but these days hasn't really been happening. But needless to say, I was done with all of my work by about 1:30, which is really good time. And then I had nothing to do for the rest of the evening. Nothing. And I was exhausted. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to lay on my couch. I'm going to watch some TV. So I did that. But I found myself feeling anxious as I was laying there. And so I started thinking, what am I anxious about? And I was thinking of all the things that I should be doing. So I decided to get up and come to my office and try to do some of them. But when I got to my office, I had no energy, I had no clarity, I had no drive. I was even more anxious trying to work. So I thought, let me go back to the couch. And a couple times, 2-3 times, I went back and forth from the couch to the desk, until by about 8 o'clock in the evening, I was so anxious and restless and unsatisfied that I finally went to the chair at the dining room table and started my journaling process. I have a journaling process that I was taught by my friend John. He and his wife Sung Shim developed this process. It's called Emmanuel Journaling, and it's really, really powerful. In the process is you talk to God, and then God talks back to you. It's basically the process. I started by talking to God and saying, I feel so restless, which is strange because this is my day of rest. And the Lord responded to me and said, you feel restless because you don't know what rest is, and you definitely don't know how to do it. I would like to teach you how to rest. And I responded, Lord, I would love for you to teach me how to rest. I need to learn how to rest. And obviously I don't know how to do it myself, so please teach me. And the Lord said, if I'm going to teach you how to rest, I'm going to have to update your belief system, because till now you've believed that rest is the fruit of avoidance. That is, whenever you rest, you're resting in order to avoid something. But my rest is the fruit of completion. My rest is the celebration of a completed work. On the seventh day, I rested from all of my labors. So I'm going to teach you the rest of completion. And I said, Lord, that I didn't understand that at the time, because I thought what the Lord was saying was, get back to work. But what I realized, the Lord was saying something far more fundamental. He actually, number one, he was not talking about my work. He was talking about the disorganization and clutter in my home. That's what I was avoiding. I was avoiding folding my pile of laundry in the laundry room. I was avoiding decluttering the living room and dining room. I was avoiding the dishes in the kitchen sink. I was avoiding the mess in my office and here, the disorganization that was here. And I just said, Lord, you got to help me understand. I didn't understand that that's what I was avoiding. And I said, Lord, you got to teach me, because, see, I have this thing where, you can call it ADHD. I haven't been officially diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I've got it. And the way ADHD works for me is I just shut down at a certain point. I shut down around stuff. And I just can't do it. I just freeze. And I don't know why I can't do it, but I just can't do it. And so I was trying to talk to the Lord about my inability to do simple things, and how when that moment of shutdown comes, I never see it coming. It just happens unexpectedly. And then I'm just stuck until it lifts. And sometimes it doesn't lift for weeks or days. Just around, not totally. I don't go into full shutdown for weeks or days, but I shut down around one thing or two things. And this is what the Lord showed me. He said, your problem, Benjamin, is that you live frantically. When you eat frantically. When you drive frantically. I am going to teach you how to slow down and how to rest, how to live in slow motion. That's what he said to me. I'm going to teach you how to live in slow motion. And I had this memory back in 2016, the first time I was hospitalized for my vestibular, whatever it is, vestibular migraine, vestibular neuritis, whatever you want to call it, with the extreme vertigo symptoms. They didn't know how to treat it at the time, so they just gave me anti-nausea medication and sent me home. And a little meclizine for dizziness. But the world spun around me for 6 weeks. And it was so bad, like walking from here to the bathroom right next door was pretty much virtually impossible. But I would, I had a walker. I had to hold on to things. And it was like being on the deck of a ship in the middle of a storm. That's what it was like walking. Not to mention severe, complete, total weakness in my body, loss of physical strength. So, but we had a trip to Hawaii planned in the middle of that. And so I went to Hawaii with my wife and daughter. And it was all I could do to just lay in a chair on the beach. I couldn't move, didn't want to move. Well, we went over to one of the volcanoes, excuse me. And my wife and daughter took off hiking up to the top. It's about a 2-mile hike. And I was supposed to just sit at the bottom and wait for them, but I decided to just see if I could walk just a little bit. So I'm moving like real slow. I'm thinking I'm just going to walk around a little bit here at the base of the volcano. But I made it over to the path. I was like, well, why don't I walk on the path just a little bit, just to see how far I can go. So I start walking on the path. I'm thinking I'll probably go 100 feet and then turn around and come back and sit down, and that'll have been a nice walk for me. I was holding on to the guardrail and just walking super slow. And I mean, people are passing me like, I kid you not, he had to be the oldest man I've ever seen before in my life. This man looked like he was 100+ years old. Barely walking with a cane. And he passed me by like I was standing still. So I was, the world is spinning around me and I'm out there walking. And I made it like a quarter of a mile. And I'm like, wow, that was really good. Well, They just take a few steps more. And I'm moving in slow motion. I mean, you imagine slow motion? That's how I'm moving. Just very slow. That's all I can do because the world is spinning around me and I'm holding the guardrail. And I made it a mile. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think I'd make it this far. I'm halfway up this mountain now. Well, probably won't make the top, but let's just take a few more steps and just stop when I have to stop. You know, and I would stop and rest here and there, and I would get up and just start walking in slow motion. Well, by that time, my wife and daughter were coming back down. As I was halfway up, they were coming back down, and they were like, whoa, what are you doing here? We didn't think you were coming. I'm like, well, I just thought I would walk a little bit. So they followed me back up to see how far I would make it. Do you know I made it all the way up to the top? I made it all the way up to the top. I can't tell you the joy I had at the top of that volcano. Because I did something I didn't think I could do. And then I made it all the way back down. And it wasn't taxing, it wasn't overwhelming, because I was moving in slow motion. And I realized that I can do anything if I learn how to move in slow motion. So the Lord brought that memory back to my mind yesterday. And he said, why don't you try cleaning the house in slow motion? And I'll do it with you. I'll do it with you. I'll be with you. So I just slowed down. And I'm in the living room, and I'm literally slowly taking the blanket from the couch and slowly folding it and laying it on the couch. I just start moving in slow motion. And before long, the living room was nice and neat. And then I did the same thing in the dining room. Then I vacuumed. I cleaned the kitchen. Cleaned my bathroom. And I thought, wow. I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel taxed. I don't feel tired. I realize that I'm moving frantically. And that's why I feel exhausted all the time, because I'm constantly frantically doing whatever I'm doing. Whatever thou doest, doeth it frantically. It's like that's what I'm living by. But just moving in slow motion, one piece at a time. My whole environment came into order. So that's all I could do last night was those 3 rooms, and my bathroom, so 4 rooms. But this morning I took my daughter to school, and then I came home. And then I almost said I attacked this office, but I didn't attack it. Just in slow motion. Let's just pull it together one piece at a time. Slow motion. And the next thing I knew, this office looked great. And once the office looked great, all of a sudden, all this inspiration came. And all this joy came. And discipline came as well. I went in the kitchen for dinner tonight and made a salad. I realized that even my compulsive eating is a form of escape. And when my environment is such that I need to escape it, that's what triggers my compulsiveness. So anyway, living in slow motion. That's it's going to be my new thing. Learning how to live in slow motion. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm functional. I'm not non-functional, but I think my thing has always been, I spend so much energy working that I don't have time to clean and organize things. I don't have the energy or the bandwidth. But now I'm realizing that if I take the time to clean and organize things, I actually have more space and more energy to work and to get things done. Anyway, I hope that helps. Try living in slow motion sometime. Try it when you feel overwhelmed and see if it helps. Thanks for watching.
I'm talking to my diary. Talking to my diary. I'm 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 talking to my diary.